Today I'm talking about the autofocus on the Sony A7S III, probably one of the most advanced AF systems on a consumer camera right now, and it's basically magic. I'm going to be putting it through some tests as well as discussing all the settings and features to help you get the most out of your A7S III. Continuing the theme of A7S III videos I've done, talking about the video formats, memory card compatibility, and video quality tests, the autofocus on the Sony camera is another system that makes it so great. Starting from the very top is focus mode. Simply just autofocus and manual focus. It's worth mentioning that if you keep this set to AF and change between manual and autofocus on the lens itself, the camera will automatically switch as well. But if you set your camera to manual focus and keep autofocus on your lens, I've been told by Sony support that this could cause damage if you have pressed the shutter and engaged the focus system. Autofocus transition speed. This is how fast the autofocus will shift between two focus points. The scale goes from slow 1 to fast 7. This is how fast 7 is. Very quick. While this is a very slow and smooth 1. A middle 3 is still quite fast, but much smoother and not as jarring. And I'm controlling this all using spot focus by tapping on the A7S III screen. There's tap and then there's also track focus that you can cycle through at the top here. They both look really great. As you can see, the focus box just stays glued on the selected subject. If you don't want to be using touch functions, you can use the joystick to move the focus point. This is also a transition speed of 7. Autofocus shift sensitivity. This determines how long before the autofocus kicks in when the subject moves out of the focus area, and it ranges between locked 1 and responsive 5. Setting 1 holds focus for about 4.5 seconds. 3 looks like just over 1 second. And 5 is basically instantaneous. There are 5 focus areas: wide, zone, center fix, spot small, medium, and large, and expand spot focus. Wide uses all of the Sony A7S III's whopping 759 focus points. You can see when I turn around, it recognizes my face and starts tracking right away. As I walk closer at a pretty decent speed, it grabs my eye and stays completely locked on even when I move to a much darker area. And it keeps working when I turn 90 degrees from the camera and right up until I exit the frame, picking me back up as I walk back into the shot. It's crazy to see that at a razor thin plane of focus of wide open at 1.4, my eye is 100% in focus. Also in wide focus, I wanted to test to see how the A7S III works when there is no face for it to recognize. It seems that the algorithm favors the center of the frame. As you can see, the AF doesn't kick in with me waving my arm on the side. But once I catch it by putting my hand in the middle, it seems to stay locked on really well, even when I move my hand to the absolute edges of the frame. This is zone. It's a large area of focus that you can move to 9 different spots. This one and the other focus boxes all work the same. Anything inside will be prioritized even if a face is in the frame but outside the focus box. The cool thing is you can see it actually recognizing that I'm there, but only focuses on what's in the zone. Once I pop in, it instantly grabs my eye. This will be really helpful when you are trying to isolate a subject that is in the zone. Center Fix is just a smaller box that stays locked on in the middle. No matter how close you get to the box, it doesn't grab focus unless you actually enter it. Focus Spot has a small, medium, and large box, but unlike Center Fix, the box can be moved around the frame with the joystick. I've had some issues with autofocus pulsing using the large box. An example is when I was taking this B-roll shot for my H6 review. I had the focus box on the farther microphone, and I wanted the closer microphone to come in focus as I rotated. I didn't notice it pulsing until I had the clip in my editor, so I reshot this for this video with the small box, which seemed to get better results. Last is Expand Spot, which prioritizes the center box, but if it doesn't detect anything within it, it will move to the outer box. Focus Area Limit lets you change which of the 5 focus areas show up in your quick menu. Turn off the ones you don't use so you don't have to cycle through them. Focus Area Color lets you change between red and white, And circulate focus lets the focus area pass through the end of the screen and onto the other side, which works sideways as well as up and down. AF frame move changes how far the focus box moves per input on the joystick. Looks like about twice as far for the large setting. Face and eye priority. This is the setting that, as the name states, prioritizes faces and eyes, magically locking them on as soon as they enter the frame, like I showed earlier. You can also change the eye subject between human and animal, although I don't believe this works for video yet, but may in the future in an update. Animal eye AF does work in photo mode though, and it seems to work pretty well. I've also read that it's decent with birds, but I think the Canon R5 has the upper hand in this autofocus feature. You can also change which eye it prioritizes, left, right, or auto. With auto, it will choose which eye is closest to the camera. The face and eye frame display is the setting you want on to have the gray box show which faces and eyes are being focused. Registered faces lets you prioritize focus on faces that are saved in the camera, which is pretty crazy. It only lets you turn it on and off in video mode, but if you turn the dial to any of the photo modes, it reveals the register option. It looks like you can save up to 8 at a time. Moving on to the focus magnifier, you can use this to punch in on your subject to make sure focus is exactly where you want when in manual. This is a very useful tool I use all the time with 1 and 4 times magnification options. I'm glad the camera has it, but I do wish it could punch in just a little farther. I came from the Nikon D780, and when I set it up for the exact same scene and 50mm focal length, I confirmed my suspicion that I get significantly more reach with the Nikon. Having it extend further really helps with nailing focus, and I've often had a harder time making sure I had it right with the A7S III. With focus magnification time, you can set between 2 and 5 seconds or no limit. This means that it will automatically pull back to full view after a period of time. I personally prefer no limit. And finally, the last few are more focus assist settings in manual mode. There's focus peaking that you can turn on here, but I have it set to my function button, and you can change the peaking amount with low having a thinner threshold for what it considers in focus, while high has a wider range. And finally, focus color. You can choose between red, yellow, blue, or white. So those are all the autofocus settings on the Sony A7S III. If you want to know more about this camera, people seem to be enjoying my A7S III video quality test, memory card compatibility guide, and my video format guide. If you got any value out of this video, a quick tap of the like button is free and it really helps the video and me out. Take care, and I'll see you next time.